Very good evening and welcome. You're watching the India Development Debate with me, Tamanna Inamdar. Today we're going to be talking about the advertising standards for influencers on finance and health on social medias. Nowadays, it's not unusual to find a number of people telling you how to either improve your bank balance or your waistline. But are they qualified to do so? So a set of standards already exists. The Advertising Standard Council of India, or ASCI, has now revised its influencer advertising guidelines to place additional responsibility on advertising content of health and financial influencers. The guidelines were originally introduced in May 2021 with the aim to help consumers identify promotional content and make informed decisions on products or services, and have been amended now in keeping with the rapidly evolving nature and extensive impact of digital platforms. ASCI's guidelines are about advertising content where a brand or product or service is being promoted directly or indirectly. Think about testimonials of people saying that I lost so many kilos after using this product or going to this particular service, etc. But are these guidelines really working? Are they working to curb unethical influencers and also to let people know that what they're seeing is not necessarily true advice but has a paid promotion behind it? To speak more on this, I'm joined exclusively today by Manisha Kapoor, CEO and Secretary General of ASCI. For more details on this, Ms. Kapoor, thank you so much for speaking with us on the India Development Debate. Welcome to the show. Give us a sense of why you felt that these guidelines needed more detailing nearly 2 years after they were first put out.
Hi, thank you for having me on the show and talking about this very important development. So when our guidelines initially came out in May 21, as you mentioned, they really pertain to disclosing. Okay, so the fact that consumers could not make out organic content versus paid content, and that disclosure needed to be given by the influencers. So those guidelines pertain to that issue. Now, as we've seen the evolution, we've seen financial and health advice practically in every post that we scroll and look through our feeds. And therefore, it is now, pretty important to put a few guardrails around advice in both financial and health sectors, because as you rightly said, I think these are two areas where there can be some real room for consumer harm. And therefore, the idea is that, only if you're an expert, please give advice on financial matters and on health matters. And therefore, you should be an expert. And we've kind of identified some areas that can help, that help everyone identify that you're an expert, and that you have to both be an expert and you have to disclose what your qualifications are.
But how we are defining influencers? Is it as per the number of followers, likes, views, or, in this era of even nano influencers, pretty much anyone and everyone can be categorized as an influencer? It's no longer someone with large number of views or who's already a celebrity. Companies are now going after micro and nano influencers as well.
Oh, absolutely. So I think an influencer by definition is anyone who can influence people, through their content. Now, from an ASCI perspective, we look at influencers where there is a commercial angle involved, because that's when it becomes an advertisement, right? If you have an influencer who's just talking generally about things, but is not, there's really no product or service or any commercial gain to be made either for themselves or, in a sense that they have any material connection with the brands, then that does not come under ASCI. But where such an agreement or understanding exists, or if they are in a sense promoting their own business, then we would see that as an advertisement, irrespective of the followership or reach or impact of those posts. Of course, from a priority point of view, we would want to prevent this in larger posts because they have the most impact. But the guidelines are applicable to all influencers irrespective of their size.
The other question really that comes to mind is about implementability. These are very important guidelines, they're good guidelines, but how do you go after those who are flouting it? If someone is taking a free product and then saying, hey, I love this shoe, or, it's helping me run better, or, I've been having this supplement and I'm feeling better. How are you going to pinpoint that this is someone who's taken money or some material concession for it and they are not displaying it? What's the punishment? How will you nail them?
So we have, for the past year and a half, actually deployed an AI-based software which helps us to identify some of these promotional posts which are not tagged as promotional. As you rightly said, I think the number of such posts is really, really high. And therefore, we also have to use technology to kind of monitor this. Of course, consumers may also complain against a post that they feel is promotional in nature, but has no disclosures. Typically, when we get a complaint, or even if we take up a case ourselves, we write to both influencers and advertisers. And if they claim that there is no material connection, then they have to give us that evidence. They have to give us an undertaking. The advertiser or the brand mention has to give an undertaking that there has been no material connection, that no payments have been made. Now, we have seen, influencer-related complaints and ads become a significant part of what ASCI is doing. Close to between 25 to 28% of all cases that we take up now pertain to influencers. And I think we have also started to see good compliance now, as I think the industry matures, there is greater awareness about the need for disclosure. The government has also come up with, suitable guidelines. So we think that, overall there will be better disclosure, better compliance. But yes, I think, we need to be mindful that, influencer content is in the millions on social media. So it will always
How
be a
many,
challenge.
if I were to ask, how many errant posts or errant influencers has ASCI cracked down upon, and how? Have there been monetary penalties, some kind of coordination with the platforms to hold back their posting? What has been the real life impact of those who flout the rules?
So ASCI basically asks for voluntary compliance, right? And we have received over 80 to 90% voluntary compliance, which means the influencer themselves take down the post. Now, when we do not receive voluntary compliance, we always escalate these matters to the government. As you know, the government rules also now say that, disclosure is mandatory. So in a sense, anyone who flouts ASCI rules is also in potential violation of government rules. And therefore, for anyone who does not take up or does not give us voluntary compliance, these cases are escalated. Again, if we see a particular influencer repeatedly violating the code, then again, those names are escalated to the government. We also release the names, they are there on our website. And we would urge brands not to work with influencers who do not take their responsibility seriously, because eventually down the line, it will impact and, create an adverse brand impression as well. So those are the mechanisms. ASCI is a voluntary compliance body, but we do work closely with the government to escalate the cases, to inform them of cases that, do not undertake voluntary compliance and therefore may need some enforcement. And we have seen government departments issue show cause notices, to the various parties involved as well.
Right. So it's definitely up to advertisers also to keep watch. And I think it's great that there should be information or enough disclosure for people who are consuming this content. Then it's up to them or not whether some general kind of advice fits them or not. Thank you so much, Manisha Kapoor, for joining us today on the show and giving us your view on these new guidelines.
Thank you.